Hi everyone, my name is Ronan. Um, First, I want to say thank you for your time to review my presentation during Christmas, and I'm really, really sorry for all of the inconvenience that I have brought you. So next, I will demonstrate my game in two different scenarios. First, I will give a full walkthrough because I designed the game, so I kind of know like how to avoid the enemies. So the first time is a full walkthrough as the winning scenario, and the second one I will demonstrate a losing scenario as well. Um, so let's get started. So at the beginning, here are several elements for you to interact, and because these are a lot of text as the main character's diary, and also text to sort of introduce what smiling depression is. So I'm not gonna walk through all of the text just for the sake of the time. So I'm just gonna press E to exit this dialog panel. And this is the mysterious man, the NPC that I introduced during midterm. And as you can see, he has the same shape as the main character, but with no face, sort of like a shadow. And this is how the NPC is like introducing to the main character, saying, "This is your last challenge." And as you can see in the screen, the main character has a bubble, and it's actually shrinking and over time, but it's shrinking really slowly because I don't want the game to be too hard. From like several user tests before, the bubble shrinking too fast makes people like more intense and things they want to like avoid failure, so they don't really experience things. But I can give you a demonstration. So like if you step on one of the vines, the spikes, you can see like the bubble is shrinking, and also your view is the area that you see is also smaller. So these are all of the things that you have to avoid. Versus the sun is the light that you have to collect. And when you collect a light, your bubble and the light is also brighter, so you can see more. And there is also like a glowing effect. So these are the teardrops that you have to avoid as well. And here's another NPC. So here you cannot really see like a full sentence because, as I said, the bubble is sort of like the barrier to prevent you from interacting and communicating with others. So here is like you can't really see what the person is saying, but maybe he's giving you a tip. And this guy is actually telling you that these platforms, if you stand on it for like a certain amount of time, it will fall. And here you use another ability, which is you hold K and then you can float. And this part is actually kind of tricky because when you float, it gives you this upward force, and you have to like fight against that force. And I want to create a feeling that the main character is sort of losing control. Like if I don't do anything, you will like bump into the vines and then die. But you have to collect the lights to like sort of go through the whole game, because if you are like a first time gamer, you probably don't know what all these are. So part of this game is really to explore and to try. And I also want to mention that there is no saving point in this game. I created that way so the whole experience is not interrupted, and there's no pause option. There's no keys for you to pause the game as well, because it's really like a whole thing. And And here this NPC is sort of telling you that, you know, maybe you're entering like a slow field, and within this field your speed is definitely slower, and you have to keep holding the direction key, which is A for me. If you are a left-handed user, it's J. So here you have to collect this. Maybe in this kind of walkthrough you think that the light is not like, the bubble is not like compressing too fast, and maybe you'll be wondering then, if in this case, why do I still need to collect the lights? But again, I'm saying this, I'm showing this demonstration because I know how to avoid all of the characters and the enemies and the traps. But if you are playing this for the first time, you definitely need to collect all of the lights so that you can know how to avoid the enemies. Otherwise, it's kind of impossible for you to say, okay, I don't lose any HP. So in terms of like the gameplay, so it's impossible for you to say I don't lose any HP during this whole process. And here, you met this mysterious man again, and he's telling you, okay, now you have to jump. So you jump, and then this is the scene where you have to break the bubble. And in this scene, everything becomes more colorful. I want to make this colorful as a contrast to the previous levels. So previous levels, basically everything is black and white, unless it's a light. So the light is yellow to indicate that you have to collect them, and anything that's like dangerous to you, it's red. And we can have a conversation with this guy again. And here is the okay, I think there is an error. This panel here should be like a lot higher. It should be as the background of the text, but I think it's because I expand the video a bit for the recording. So this text and this dialogue is pretty much the same thing that I showed in the midterm. So this NPC is telling you that he is your true self, the main character's shadow, and actually he is the one, and like the main character is the person, and he is the one to tell you to go through this journey, and who called out to the main character to tell him that you have to accept all these challenges and fight with a lot of difficulties to break the bubble. But now you have already go through so many traps and challenges. You just need a little bit courage to break the bubble. It's not very hard. So I want to make the last scene as sort of like a cave. So you jump to this cave, and this cave is sort of like the deepest place in this whole level, as a representation of the deep down space in your heart, where you can find everything. It's still like colorful, but when you exit this cave, the outside world is sort of like you are faking it, so you can't see colors. You can only see black and white. So now here you click I'm ready, and then you can see if I don't do anything, the bubble is shrinking. I'm just gonna let it shrink, and then if I keep pressing Q, you have to keep pressing it because otherwise it will shrink. So as this so this part is sort of I want to create this struggle that you have to keep fighting and use your like courage and use your strength to burst the bubble. and keep pressing until the bubble is filled with the entire screen, and then it said success. So here is sort of a part that I want to definitely improve more in the future, because in my imagination, this part should be an anime, a cartoon, or an animation to show that this main character, his bubble is broken, and then with like a really warm music. But now it's just text saying that now you won the game. Do you wish to go back? And if you click yes, we'll go back to the previous level, but you can see that everything is definitely filled with color right now. So the tiles, the level is pretty much the same. The tiles are the same, but with color. And also the spikes are gone. Instead, you can see bushes and flowers and stuff. And this scene is also really simple. I can exit now for you to see. It's only so the layout. This is the level that we played for the most of the time, and this is the level, the final colorful level. It's the whole layout is the same, just without the traps and without the enemies, and also with colors. So but this one is also not completely fully developed, I would say, because for now it's so empty. It doesn't have interactions, it doesn't have dialogue, and I definitely want to improve on this more in the future. And next, let me go back to the sample scene here to sort of showing you what it's like to lose the game. I'm just gonna quickly, so say if you jump and you fall onto one of the spines, say here, if you didn't go on the platform like this, you can still choose to jump on it to go back. But if you keep touching these like dark traps, and you will definitely lose more light, and then what you see, the things, you can see that the area is definitely getting smaller and smaller, and the bubble is smaller than what it looks like at the beginning as well. So say that we keep bumping into these things, and then okay, and then you die, and then it will go back to the beginning. As I said, I want this to be sort of a loop for the user to experience. From like all of the user tests that I did before, it's definitely really hard for you to play this game only once and then what's going on. Even if I ask my friend who is like really experienced at playing platformer game, it's still hard. It's still like unclear for them at the first time to figure out what everything is. But there's definitely like text, as I said. So the bookshelf is something that you can interact with as a supplement, as a substitute text, as an instruction for you to know what's going on. And also the desk is also for you to interact as well. And this desk has a test about smiling depression, and it's sort of like introduction of what smiling depression is and what the symptoms are, and why is it something that we want to address and raise the awareness of in this game. So these are all of the text for you to read, because I didn't make the first chapter, as I said in the midterm. So in the midterm I said that I probably want to create the first scene, the first level, and the final level. But because we don't have the first level now, these interaction system, dialogue system will be something for you to look at. And then, so next, I also want to talk about the game art a little bit. So first of all, let me zoom out a little bit. So you can see this whole level design is sort of like from the left to right, and then you go down from right to left again, and then go down, and then again and again. But you can see that each floor, I'm just gonna call this one horizontal thing as one floor. So the floor is shorter than the previous one, and it's getting shorter and shorter. So I'm using this kind of design to represent like a spiral. So from left to right, and then right to left, and then left to right, and then right to left again. And until until the end, you have to jump to the cave, as I demonstrate just now. And this level can definitely expand more. Say I can have not just 4 floors. I can actually design like 10 floors and add more difficult enemies and traps, so that the user can experience this kind of struggle more. But for me, it's 4 floors is kind of like a reasonable number for me to do the user test. Otherwise, it's too long. Because 4 floors for now, if you play it without getting any harm or getting any hurt, it's still like about 3 to 4 minutes, I think, including the last scene. So for someone who is doing my user test and they don't know, or they don't even have experience of platforming game, then maybe more than 4 floors is kind of hard. And I also want to talk about the drawings a little bit. So I am drawing all of these assets in Procreate on iPad, and then I export them to Photoshop to do some like editing, say edit the size of the assets, the images, and also probably make a transparent background or something. And this is a result of a series of experiments. I tried drawing. I definitely try drawing things with my pencil and scan it with my phone, but in that way it's kind of hard to measure the specific size of each grade, because you see Unity, they deal with this assets and as tile map, so they can cut it into this little chunk. And if I'm drawing with my pencil, it's really hard to control that. And I'm choosing 64 pixels as my grid size for now, because in that way it's a higher resolution than pixel art, but still kind of has that hand drawing, look. Because for example, this one, this bottle here, it doesn't seem like really high resolution. I think that's pretty much it. The elements, I will link them to, and also the code, I will link them to my Google document as the guide to materials. And the designs, like the enemies here, like the heart on chains and with patches, and these chains, with cages that has different face. Like this is a crying face, angry face. These all represents the emotions that were kept, or that were masked away by this fake smile on the main character. Also the bubble as well. So the elements here, all of them, I try to make them not very game-like. Instead, I want to create this as a very atmospheric experience. And I definitely don't want my player to focus on the the playing like the game too much. Like I don't want them to be afraid that they may die or they may get hurt, but instead I want them to really experience. And this part, maybe I wasn't clear for during the walkthrough. This part is the chains part. This is where you feel it has this field where your speed is slower. So I want to make this chains and the slowing effect as a representation of, you know, how the main character is dragged by all of these cages and by all of these chains, and these chains and the cages were like trying to pull away the real emotions from you, from the main character as well. Okay, I think we have already said enough. I will have more materials and more descriptions in my documentation as well. I think that's it. Thank you.